Hi everyone, my name is Jarek from Genius Gecko and welcome to the second video where I will be discussing differences between Advanced Roadmaps and BigPicture, comparing two tools, and explaining where each of the tool might be better, what are the downsides, upsides of each tool, and trying to give you the best perspective on what will suit you best. If you haven't watched my previous video, please check it out. There I was discussing differences between those two tools when it comes to planning tasks on the timeline. In this video, I'm gonna be focusing on managing resources. Please remember that if there will be something that I won't cover in this video, because there is a lot to say about these tools, you can always reach out to us. We offer trainings, we offer consultations, and we have proven implementation process. So whatever your needs will be, I'm sure we'll be able to help. Okay, so let's jump right in. And at the beginning, I will say that this comparison will be pretty much one-sided. Although advanced roadmaps offer some features when it comes to resource management, and it might be a better fit for some of you, larger group will be covered by BigPicture and larger amount of use cases. So you'll see why in a moment. For now, let's look at the advanced roadmaps. You can see over here, and this is something that you might remember from my previous video, we have some teams. Actually, we have over here one team and tasks that are not assigned to any team, and we have several sprints. In this sprint, there are several tasks assigned. I think that there are three of them, plus we have also epics displayed here. So tasks are located on the timeline where sprints are on the timeline, right? So I could change this sprint to, let's say, sprint 4, and task will move on the timeline. You can see over here that also this bar representing sprint changes. So if we click on this over here, we'll see that at the moment, 12 hours are allocated for this sprint out of 10 that we have capacity in this particular team for this sprint. So basically we are over allocated. We can move this sprint, this task as I just did. And now we see that we are not in the red, it's not balanced still, but it looks better. We're not over allocating anyone. So where do these numbers come from? This one obviously comes from the tasks. So we have information over here, how much story points or what is the estimate. Whether we're using story points or time estimate, this is something that can be set in the plan settings. So here I have estimate in hours. So obviously the amount of assigned work is coming from the task. This is just the sum of tasks. Actually, I will assign, this one doesn't have any sprint, so I will assign it to, so now we have 3 tasks over here. And when it comes to total capacity, it's basically taken from the team, right? So when we are defining team, let's go over here to the teams. I have at the moment a single team with single user. I can go to team settings and basically I'm able to define what's capacity per week and how many team members are there. So these two informations, number of team members and capacity, basically defines what can we or how much work we can assign per sprint. Obviously for each sprint we can override this value. So you can see that it may change from sprint to sprint. So basically, if you have variability in your capacity, so for example, this sprint we have full team, but next sprint 2 persons from the team are off, they have holidays, we can adapt it over here by just changing it for single sprint. But this is something that has to be done manually. It's not bad, it's pretty simple. But you need to remember, I've seen cases where someone got their holidays approved 5 months ago. Someone updated the sprint values and later sprint came closer to being started and no one really remembered whether this holiday was actually already included in changed capacity or not. So you will have to set up a process that will take care of not having doubled holidays over here, or you will just have to keep on checking this. So it's simple, but it works. Obviously, the thing that compares the allocated value with our capacity is also good. So if we over allocate team, it clearly shows us that we are over allocated. We can do something with that. For Agile, in general, this works good. Where it stops working is when we're not working in Agile or we're having some kind of hybrid approach. So I will show you what I mean. Let's say that this task, I will just move it on a timeline. I will not change a sprint. I will move it for now. Yeah, you can see that it did not change over here. So we did not put the estimated work from this task in a sprint 4. It makes sense. It is not assigned to sprint 4, right? So you could say that this is correct. Now let's remove the sprint assignment from the task. Okay, it changed. So it also works as how we would expect. So you will see that now the estimate or the workload from this task is assigned to correct sprint. And actually, if we move it somewhere in between the sprints, it will also adapt the estimate. So basically it will split the work based on the number of days for which task is planned on each sprint. So this is actually well thought out. Now the biggest problem, or two problems actually I have with this, is that in waterfall we rarely work in sprints. So in waterfall or even in hybrids where part of the tasks are not done in Agile, we are actually assigning usually tasks to individual user and not the team. So although here we have some kind of resource management, it's still operating only on the team level, and it still shows us information only from sprint perspective. So basically, if we would like to have more granular, like each day we would like to have represented how much work is assigned to whom, we cannot have it here. And also, if we would like to have a display of what certain user or how much allocation is on each user, we also cannot have that. So basically, we are only limited to working on the teams and on sprints or on any other iteration. So basically, this is, in my view, heavily limiting advanced roadmaps. And again, if you're just working in sprints, if this is how your company works, if you do not need resource management for anything else, this tool might be very well suited for you. Although if you have some more complex cases with waterfall, with Agile, it will no longer work, or it will be heavily limited. Okay, so let's switch over to BigPicture and see what kind of options we have over there. Okay, again, this is the screen that you've seen before in my previous video. It is oriented around Agile planning. So here we have sprints in the columns, we have teams in our swim lanes, backlog on the right. For now, it will not be interesting for us. But you can see that for each sprint and for each particular team, you have over here basically information about allocation and about capacity. So obviously allocation comes from the tasks assigned to specific sprint. So you have overall allocation for all the tasks and specific ones for the teams. Where does the team capacity come from? And this is actually a bit more complex than in advanced roadmaps. So obviously, first of all, it comes from the number of users in the teams. So we can basically say that each user has a specific capacity in story points, and then number of users will be multiplied by this amount of story points, and displayed over here. Of course, we can manually override or edit this team capacity for each sprint separately. So this is really similar to what we've seen to advanced roadmaps. But on top of that, BigPicture has some other features like we can add absences. Each user could add absence. So for example, I could say that, okay, I will be absent on particular days of this month. BigPicture would calculate how much of my capacity that is, and it would that the amount of capacity of a team would be actually decreased by that amount. Other than that, we can change amount of we can change the so-called workload plan that users are on. So basically, I would, for example, say that from now on, I'm working only half time. I would switch workload plan, and now my capacity would be half that of other members. So I won't go into all the details. There is quite some options over there. I think there is in total 5 ways to impact capacity of the team. But there is more options than in advanced roadmaps. I especially like the absences one, because when user enter absence and we clearly see where he or when this person is not available, and we see why the amount of story points in the team in specific sprint was decreased. Over here we see story points, but also we can switch between different metrics. So we could focus or use original estimate or remaining estimate as information over here. And we can see not only capacity, but also work progress. So we can see how much work in specific sprints was done. For me, it's basically nothing because all my tasks are to do. I did not log any work, but with time when the tasks will be closed, we'll see that. Okay, that's not really, I'm going off the topic as we were talking about resource management. Okay, I've shown you that we can edit capacity over here, but there is also more advanced way of manually editing that. We can enter here to change capacity, and again, we can edit this on the team level, or we could edit this on individual user level. And here is another strong side of BigPicture. We can enable this highlight changes, and we will see what was actually changed, right? So we know that it comes from manual change and not because user is on different worker plan and is working only half time, for example. I will restore this one. Yeah, you can see that the thing that I updated manually is underscored with hardline, and the thing that is impacted by that change is underscored with dashed line. So I will revert these changes or restore the previous value. Now we're at 20 everywhere. Still, although there are more ways to impact capacity in BigPicture, I would say that 2 tools are still pretty comparable in that area. Where BigPicture really stands out is in situations where we're having waterfall or hybrid approach. And for that, we have other modules. So first, I will show you Gantt for a moment, but then we'll move to resource modules. So in the Gantt, you can see that basically we have 5 tasks planned for 2 sprints. Third sprint is not allocated for now. And these tasks are planned or placed as sprints on specific places in the timeline. Now we'll switch into resource module, and you will see that we have the same timeline, but over here, these tasks are basically assigned to the users. So swim lanes are the users, and we have some interesting information over here. So for each user, we can display up to 3 information. What is the capacity of the user? What is his remaining capacity, and what is his workload in certain period. So at the moment we have weekly grouping. We can change that over here. So we could have, for example, daily, and then we would see separate information for each day. This is a bit small, but we can display monthly view. Let's go to today. Yeah, over here. So now we are displaying monthly view. We have everything divided for each particular day. We can click on this and see where these numbers come from. So I am on the default workload plans. This means I can deliver one story point per day, and I'm assigned to this team for 100%. That's good. Where does the remaining capacity come from? So we can see here what is the total workload, remaining capacity, and where the workload comes from. So for this particular day, we have 0.1 story points coming from this task and 0.2 from this one. So we're in the green over here. I have still quite a lot of capacity. Tom, on the other hand, here is over allocated. This is indicated by the red number. We can click on this and see where this over allocation comes from, right? So we see that this is basically coming from one task. The other is not estimated. So we could try to do something with that. We could try to move it around, maybe reassign it to other person. So let's move it a bit. It won't help because this one task is over allocating it fully. I could reassign, but we will still be red over there because 1.3 per day is more than anyone else have. What else can we do? We can expand the task. This will basically take the estimate of the task and divide it by more days. So now you'll see we're in the yellow, we're close to 100%, but not yet there. So it looks feasible. Basically, now we could work with that. So we can already see that for waterfall, it will be really nice feature. Basically, we've changed something over here. We'll switch over to Gantt. You'll see that this particular task was changed also on the Gantt. This one. It's now not overlapping one particular sprint because I moved it and extended it a bit, but it's now between the two. Of course, it's not something you should aim for. If something is planned for agile or for sprints in agile methodology, it should be just assigned to a sprint and overlapping one sprint. But for the tasks in waterfall, this is what will be happening. So you will be going to resources, you'll be moving the tasks around, reassigning them by drag and dropping them, just to see where can you place them the best, who can you assign them to, so that we're not red anywhere. We know that there are no bottlenecks and we can work on this. Right, what else? Now I'm looking at and working on individual users. So I'm assigning tasks and looking at the capacity of individual users. But I can click over here to team view, and I will have very similar view, but now oriented around teams. So we will see team capacity, we will see team allocation, and remaining capacity. So again, we can move the tasks around if we are not planning on individual user level, but on the sprint level, on the team level. And yeah, take a look over here. Very often I've seen that both of these views are used. So for the work that is further in the future, planned in, like, let's say, to be done in 5 or 6 months, the plan is done on the team level, just so we know whether we have enough capacity or not. We do not want to assign specific users yet because we do not know yet who will be doing that. Maybe we did not know even who will be team members of particular team that far in the future. But when we're closer to actually starting work on the task, we will switching to individual view and start assigning tasks to individuals. Now, it's, in my view, really nice, and I will show you one more thing, especially useful for hybrid approach in a moment, but there are things that you need to look out for. BigPicture setups makes it possible that particular teams or particular individual users are actually available in multiple so-called boxes. So basically they could be used in multiple projects. If you have BigPicture Enterprise, you can enable the view that shows show overall assignment. You can see it's grayed out over here. because I do not have BigPicture Enterprise on this instance. What this will do is it will show you over here tasks assigned to this resource from all the other boxes, from all the other projects. So you will see the overall allocation of this resource, because at the moment I see only tasks allocated in this box or in this plan, right? So if same resource would be used in multiple places, there would be a risk that I would over allocate the resource without knowing that. BigPicture Enterprise solves it really neatly with this one. If you do not have BigPicture Enterprise, there are several ways to work around that, but to choose the best one, it's rather hard without knowing context. So if this is your case, let us know. We'll help you figure out what to do next. Okay, let's switch over to the Gantt. There is one more thing I wanted to show you. So yeah, we have tasks on the timeline. Some of them are assigned to the sprint, but we can click over here, show hide resources, and you will see that we see simplified view of our resource module. So over here we see who is allocated to what degree. We can again decide based on what kind of information we want to check allocation and what should be the aggregation. So let's say that weekly, I will make it larger, and you'll see that, yeah, there are a lot of unassigned tasks, but from the assigned ones, users are not over allocated. So I assume that, yeah, if we assign the unassigned task, we could proceed with that. This is really nice because it works for hybrid approach. When part of the tasks are planned in Agile, in board module that I've shown you at the beginning, they will be put on the timeline in proper places under sprints. The tasks that are not planned Agile and you will move them around on the timeline will also be here. You may have dependencies between them, and the allocation from all the tasks, no matter whether they are done in Agile or Waterfall or any other, will be visible over here. So you can actually see multiple, basically you can connect multiple different methodologies and see whether there are bottlenecks or everything is good and we can proceed with working like that. So as I mentioned, BigPicture has way more features around that, and honestly I could talk about this for hours actually, to discuss everything that BigPicture offers around resources. If it's not something that you need, go for simpler tool, because usually more features makes the tool more complex, harder to understand. But in my experience, most of the cases, people are not working in pure Agile and only Agile, and things that are offered by advanced roadmaps are often not enough. So, yeah, hope that helped you understand what are the differences between those tools in this area. If you have any questions, let us know. And other than that, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.